So Yellowstone is super, super special. There's a lot going on. Now it's home to over half the world's geysers. You have hot springs, you have geothermal features. You have all these incredible things that you don't really get to see anywhere else. And it's important to realize just how big Yellowstone National Park is. There's over 250 miles of drivable roads, and ideally you'd spend at least 3 days exploring the area. Could you do it in a day? Yeah. Would I ever recommend anything less than 3? Absolutely not. Now, I know it doesn't look like it's a long distance, but when you're driving, you can't go very fast. You're gonna have tourists in front of you that are stopping for buffalo. There's gonna be wildlife on the side of the roads that you're gonna wanna stop for. If you can see wolves, you can see bears, you can see pronghorn, which is kind of like an antelope. It doesn't even look like it belongs in America. It's crazy. Moose, pikas, marmots. I saw a badger. Just tons and tons of different animals, and it's baffling that all these animals coexist together and create, like, it's just such a cool experience. You can see owls, everything and anything you can imagine, and it's all just right there. Don't be like some of the people that I met while I was at these national parks, and they're like, oh, I really want to see a wolf. I wish they would bring the wolves out. It's a national park. It's not a zoo. They don't really have control over the animals. They have an idea of where they kind of hang out, of like Lamar Valley is a good place to see wolves in the morning, but that's not a guarantee. Don't go into Yellowstone assuming you're going to see anything. The only thing that's pretty much guaranteed is you'll see a bison. And if you go through Yellowstone without seeing a bison, I am genuinely impressed. Now, when it comes to lodging in the park, it's very hard to get room availability, so don't wait till the last minute and just be like, oh, well, you know, I'll just spend the whole time in West Yellowstone, in that little village there. And you can do that, which is perfectly fine, but also take into consideration that to get from West Yellowstone all the way to Fishing Bridge takes a really long time. And unfortunately, a lot of the times the lodging in the park is booked for up to a year in advance. However, every once in a while you can find cancellations, whether it's campgrounds or hotels. Now, you can also stay outside of the park, which is typically cheaper. However, then you have to face about an hour and a half drive in or out of the park each way. Now, the road system is typically broken up into the upper loop and the lower loop. Now, let's talk about some of my favorite features in the lower loop. The Canyon Village offers access to the upper and lower Yellowstone Falls. Now, the lower falls are twice the height of Niagara Falls, which is absolutely incredible. And if you do a 180 degree and turn behind you, you have the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. And the canyon just has these beautiful, beautiful walls that are yellow, and it's all just kind of like splattered with different pigments and colors, and easily my favorite feature in the park, but not enough people really look at that. And it's also important to realize that you have hiking trails going all over the area, so you can really kind of explore as much as you want. You could spend a whole day just at the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone exploring all the trails around it, and you would have an amazing, amazing day. You would have an amazing day just sitting and admiring the falls. I literally spent one whole day, and I just sat there and took it in. And it's truly one of the most beautiful spots in America. Can't recommend it enough. And one of the other great things about Yellowstone National Park is just the availability and diversity of trails in the park. Now, they have short trails, they have long trails, they have mountaineering. Anything and anything you could want, they have, which I absolutely love. Now, one of my other favorite things at Yellowstone is the Midway Geyser Basin. Now, this is where the Grand Prismatic Spring is, which is easily one of the most photographic things you'll ever see. It's absolutely stunning. The amount of color, and the different colors really represent the different heat temperatures. And in the different heat temperatures, what you have is you have different microorganisms living, and they're at crazy, crazy temperatures. Do not touch it. Don't touch the water, because it's well over boiling. Don't scald yourself. Don't walk out on it. I saw a few people walk out on it and they got escorted by rangers and got into a whole bunch of trouble. Now, when you have geothermal activity in these areas, you have hollow tubes of steam coming out. Now, when you're walking around off the boardwalk, which you're not allowed to, don't do it, you can step in and then the ground can actually cave in, and you can get stuck in a steam pit, and then you'll just be scalded alive. So there's that. So stay on the boardwalk, and you won't have that problem. Pretty easy. Now, when you're in the Midway Geyser Basin area, you also have the Firehole Lake Drive, you have the Fountain Paint Pot area, you have everything from Fairy Falls to Mystic Falls to Biscuit Basin, Black Sand Basin, and then you have Old Faithful. So Old Faithful is actually one of my least favorite things at this park. It's the most famous for some reason. Of the hundreds and hundreds and thousands, whatever amount of geysers there are, there's tons. That one gets all the attention. I don't really understand why. It's cool. There's a few that I think are a lot cooler, but whatever. I mean, it comes up every like 90 minutes or something, and it's cool. It shoots up. It's a good time. I mean, it's a good romp, you know what I mean? You can take the kids there and see Old Faithful. Everyone's going to ask. Definitely not my favorite. Can't say it's my favorite. Can't say it's close to my favorite. Can't say it's really in my top 5. If you don't really spend a lot of time there, yeah, definitely go see it because it's pretty much guaranteed to erupt. If you have more time there, I'd say definitely walk around that area and you can see a lot more impressive geysers as far as I'm concerned. They have a boardwalk area where you get to go out and see a whole bunch of different geothermal features right in the area. And within like a 2-mile walk, you can see tons and tons of different features. It's definitely worth checking out. Now, Yellowstone's also a active volcano. Now, everyone always asks, oh, well, I hope it doesn't happen today. Don't say that. But it is an active volcano. They would know if it would explode. They have seismic readers all around the park to check and make sure. As we make our way north, we're going to go past Roaring Mountain all the way up to Mammoth Hot Springs area. Now, the Mammoth Hot Springs area has the Upper Terrace Drive, which is great for someone that can't walk around that much. And you also have the lower terraces if you want to explore more of that area and those types of features. Now, the other awesome thing about Mammoth Hot Springs is a lot of the elk have a tendency to hang out. Don't go near the elk. That's very important, especially if it's rutting season because they become very aggressive. Do not get close to any wildlife at Yellowstone National Park. Very important. Don't taunt the wildlife. Don't try to take selfies with the wildlife. Just let them be. Stay afar. Now, while you're exploring the Mammoth Hot Springs area, it's important to point out that they do have restaurants inside the park, and for the most part, they're pretty good and pretty affordable. With that being said, there are a few exceptions that are a little more expensive, but the convenience stores even offer things like ice cream, they offer chips, pretzels, hot dogs, everything that you would expect at maybe like a ballpark at reasonable prices. Depending on how much time you have, if you have a few off days, go check out the Boiling River. You can go in and just kind of veg out, but it's a beautiful spot to just watch the sunset. And really what it is you have geothermal activity right next to the lake, and it's pumping up a hot spring that mixes with the river. So you have this beautiful contrast of hot, like scalding hot, and really cold. And it's just kind of therapeutic because the river kind of, like people have made like little rock walls to kind of keep the heat in. Every once in a while, you'll get a surge of really, really hot or really, really cold. And it's just kind of, it's a beautiful way to just kind of keep your body on edge. And it's very relaxing. It's amazing. I love it. Very nice area to meet new people too. Now, while you're in the area, it's definitely worth checking out Undine Falls. Undine? I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's very, very pretty. Definitely worth checking out. There's hiking trails all back there. You can also go check out Wraith Falls. It was a little less impressive, and if you're short on time, I would personally skip it. Now, as you make your way to the east, you can also check out the Petrified Tree. Now, this Petrified Tree, as far as I'm concerned, is better than the Petrified Forest National Park in Arizona. And with that being said, it's definitely worth checking out because it'll spark your interest and your imagination into what life was like way back when. It's a fossilized tree. It's pretty cool. If you have time, you can check out the Bearfooth Highway. Absolutely beautiful. One of my favorites in the country, hands down. It might be closed depending on what time of the year you go. It's also important to realize if you're going to Yellowstone National Park, if you go during the winter, the park's essentially, it doesn't close, but the roads close. So you're going to have to take snowmobiles in, or there's different tour agencies that arrange that. But as a general rule, if you can, go anytime that school is in session because it's going to be relatively, not empty, but it's going to be drastically underpopulated as opposed to if you go during like July. Now, what are some things you should probably bring with you? I would definitely make sure you have tons of water, tons of snacks. Now, it's also important to realize that to view a lot of these animals, it's going to be a good idea to have binoculars. You don't need them. There's usually going to be somebody with binoculars, like really, really expensive ones. or a spotting scope or anything of that nature. I had a 300mm lens, which I thought would be enough. Actually, here it is. Not even close to enough to view wildlife. Like, I thought this would be more than enough. No. No. I tried wolf watching through that, and somebody had a spotting scope next to me, and I gotta say, night and day difference. You could still see blobs with the 300mm, but to actually see the wolves, you had to have a spotting scope. If you don't have that, it's not a huge deal. There's usually people around that'll let you look through if they're kind. Don't expect it, obviously, but you know, just be nice, be a good person, and sometimes people are good in return. Now, if you're trying to get away from all the crowds, there's a lot of people in Yellowstone National Park. That's kind of one of the only downsides to Yellowstone. And one way to get around this is if you hike on any trail. And I don't mean like a boardwalk trail, I mean like an actual like dirt trail. Now, when you're on these dirt trails, the amount of people goes from here all the way down to here, because nobody likes to walk. I don't know what it is. You go to a national park and you'd think that'd be the #1 activity. Now, there's a few trails that tourists flock to for whatever reason. Now, in terms of family stuff, if you're going with a family, it's not a bad idea to stay on the boardwalks. You could stay on the boardwalks for a full 4 days and not miss really anything. There's just a lot family-friendly oriented things. You have the ranger program, the junior ranger program, where you basically go to a visitor center and they'll give you like a pamphlet, and you basically go and do a whole bunch of activities to become a junior ranger. And it's a cool thing for the kids. It's a great way to get the kids interested in environmentalism. It's just a good, it's a good thing, you know? It's a good thing. Just make sure that if you go to Yellowstone National Park, you appreciate it. I saw one too many people take out their phone, take a picture, take a selfie, hey, what's up? And then literally just walk away. And I'm like, you literally traveled here, in some cases from China, and literally all you wanted was a picture to show that you were here, and now you're done. So just please, for me, just do it for me. Do it for yourself and me. Just take like a moment and really just appreciate how just beautiful it is. If possible, don't drive at night. A lot of the animals are active right around sunset, and they jump out, and in some of those roads it's very, very narrow, and I didn't see the elk until literally it was like right here, and then I swerved into oncoming traffic, there was nobody there, and then it harpooned my car, did $6,000 worth of damage. So just, if you can, don't drive at night. Also, when you're traveling around, keep in consideration that not everywhere has flush toilets. A lot of the places have outhouses, like the Midway Geyser Basin has an outhouse, and for some reason that's an issue for people. I don't really understand that, but I heard complaints from some people, so I figured I would just mention it. It's not a huge deal to really anyone except for a select few, but take that into mind. Alright guys, it just about does it. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It's a huge help to me. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask in the comments. If I can't answer, I'm sure someone in the comments can. I hope you enjoy your vacation if you're planning on going here. Have a great one.